Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to do fantastic frogs. I think frogs are fantastic. I want you to notice the frog on the front. The predominant features of a frog are two big eyes and a big wide mouth. It almost looks like a smile this frog has. In this book called Fantastic Frogs, at the beginning, when you open it up, what you get is a table of contents. Content means what is inside. So if I said, what's the content of your backpack? You might say, oh, I've got 2 pieces of paper and my lunch kit and an apple for a snack and a granola bar for after school and a present for my friend. That would be what's inside, the content. So in a table of contents, in a fact book, it's usually at the beginning and it tells you what's inside. If you're interested in the life cycle, tadpole to frog, then you will probably start reading at page 16. If you're interested in the biggest record-breaking frogs, the biggest or the smallest frogs, you will turn to page 28. A fact book is different from a fiction book because often you do not read the whole book at once. What you read is what you're interested in or what you want to find out about. We are going to start on page 4, all about frogs, because we're just beginning our learning and because we are going to make a book called All About Frogs. Today, what you're going to do with your frog book is you're going to do an introduction. So we're going to read, here's your introduction. I've started my frog picture here. I'll talk about that in a minute. In the introduction, you want to hook your reader. That means you want the reader to want to read. So as I read this introduction, all about frogs, listen to how this author hooks the reader. Listen, was that a croak? Look, was that a wave in the water? Can you spot a frog? All around you, frogs are hanging out in damp places. Frogs are amphibians. They live 2 lives. Frogs live in water, and they live on land. 2 things I want you to notice about this page. One is very eye-catching pictures, especially this guy looking right at us. And also, look what the author did to hook the reader. The first word isn't even a sentence, it's a word. Listen! Exclamation point. Was that a croak? That's a question. Look! Exclamation. Was that a wave in the water? Can you spot a frog? Look at all those question marks. This author hooked the reader by asking questions, and I want you to try that too. Questions and exclamation marks for your introduction, and your pictures of frogs can be whatever you like. Not all of these are frogs that live in Manitoba, but that's okay. You can make your frogs look any way that you like. If you don't have a picture of a frog, freeze this here so you can look at them. Or if you can, you could Google some frogs, have a look at what there is on the computer. So here's my introduction. This is my book, and my very first page says, Introduction, hook your reader. So if the most 2 things that you notice about a frog are the 2 eyes first. So I made an eye, and I joined the line in between. Then watch what I do. If I go down a little bit and go across like a semicircle, and then I do the same thing again, it kind of looks like a big, wide mouth. Then I put in my 2 big eyes like that. And I could color these in dark. I'm doing this with a pencil, but it would be better with a marker. And then the body is usually, you can look at this frog on the back, the body is as wide as the mouth. Isn't that crazy? Look at my face. My mouth is not as wide as my body. Certainly not even as wide as my face, but for a frog, Look at his body. It comes right down from his mouth. So you could bring the body down here with some little hands in front like that. And the body on this side with some little hands like that. So it looks a little like this one, or a little like this one. And then just draw a line across, because that's his big body. And a frog does not have a tail. In this one at the back, you can see a little bit the back foot. So you could draw that in, or you could leave it like that, however you want to. I'm going to put a little back foot here. And I just put part of it that you can see. So there's my frog. Now I have to think of some questions that I might ask, like, we're at the pond. What an exciting day. I think I hear something. Ribbit, ribbit. Oh, it must be a frog. Or I could just say, hey, do you know what that is? What is that green thing in the water? Those are two questions. Do you know what that is? What is that green thing in the water? And those would need a question mark. Or you might start like this author did. Listen. Can you hear something? Was that a croak? Was that a ribbit? Hey, something's moving the water. I see a ripple in the water. What could it be? Ask your reader a question. After you've asked a question or two, you might want to give some information. Frogs are amphibians. They live in two lives. Frogs live in water, and they live on land. All amphibians live on water and land, and all amphibians have wettish skin, right? And they only have skin. They don't have fur. So you could give your reader some information then if you want to. Think about especially the questions and the exclamation mark sentences that will hook your reader and make them really want to read on about frogs.